So Manny Jacinto, who plays Smilo Ren, Darth Gimp Mask, or maybe Khmer in The Acolyte, recently did an interview with GQ titled "How the Acolyte's Manny Jacinto Brought Sexy Back to Star Wars."
Your point was that this is astroturfed, and you think that
this is incredibly astroturfed. I knew that they were angling for female viewers to thirst after Khmer. He is the villain, by the way. If you guys don't have the context, he's the villain in the show. I knew that they were, showing him shirtless and stuff, trying to get people to make thirsty fan cams, and that they did.
I saw that Leslie Headland said that it works because they're flipping gender roles on hypersexuality.
Yes, we'll get to what she said first.
I got a migraine from rolling my eyes so hard they went up into the top of my head, and I had to take 2 Advil.
Yeah. So they asked him what his secret is. So
What's your secret, Manny?
I think baby oil. I think baby oil goes a long way. The Sith Lord Hearthrob tells GQ
There's that word.
About turning the internet's collective knees into jelly.
Look, there's actually a line when they do the honest trailer for Fast and the Furious 5, I believe. And they make a joke about The Rock where they say The Rock's back and he's jacked up on baby oil. And then they do this thing where it just makes a bunch of squelching noises.
If you put that in Fast and Furious,
it makes sense.
That makes sense. You can't put that in Star Wars unless you profoundly don't understand what this franchise is about. But anyway, he continued, baby oil and wet hair. With the first season of The Acolyte wrapped up, Manny Jacinto talks training for those breathtaking fight scenes.
That's the most generous take out of all of this.
Yeah, what he learned after getting cut from Top Gun Maverick and working with Lindsay Lohan on Freaky Friday 2. So basically, they were hammering it home that Manny Jacinto's character, Khmer, is the sexy, dark side bad boy of The Acolyte. And he's making all the ladies swoon. And I think because women are all on birth control, it actually worked.
I was going to say, so this seems a bit like, because we were going to talk, should we get into the Tom Cruise? Because it feels like...
Well, we're not there yet. We got to talk about the bringing sexy back part. So the interview goes on to say, what's most striking about the stranger, Khmer, is how undeniably... irrepressibly sexy he is. That's what they said. For the better part of 5 decades, Star Wars has been a franchise largely starved for sensuality. Han Solo, as Manny Jacinto correctly alluded to, had plenty of riz, but he hardly ever got to deploy it beyond the occasional chaste kiss or cheeky one-liner.
Maybe the question should be... Or maybe what they should focus on is the idea that that was on purpose.
Of course, the concept of less is more is totally lost on them. Yeah. The less that's said about the anti-chemistry between Anakin and Padme in the prequels, the better.
They have no space to be talking about anti-chemistry.
After this dumpster
if you guys
fire.
haven't watched this show, see, the problem is, guys, is that they were going for chemistry between Khmer and Osha, but since Amanda Stenberg doesn't really know how to act at all, you can't really pull any actual emotional resonance from it because she's making the same facial expression when she's forced choking someone, when she's being told serious information, when she's sleeping, when she's having coffee, when she's doing everything, she's making really the same facial expression all the time. So the ability to pull sensuality or any type of human connection between the two doesn't really work because that takes a bit of, physical acting.
It's her ineptitude at acting paired with the fact that, frankly, Manny Jacinto is not as hot as they are trying to make us think he is.
He would make more sense.
He has a weird pedo stash. He looks like a rat.
He would make more sense in playing like a businessman in a romantic comedy than he would in this. At least if we're talking about that.
Would make sense, but yeah, they obviously have no room to talk about characters lacking chemistry. Correct. And while Rey and Kylo Ren built up some genuine tension in The Last Jedi, it all fizzled out into nothing in the trilogy's dud of denouement, The Rise of Skywalker. So you said that they were trying to bring back Reylo with the
vibe of
the romance or the slow burn romance between Osha and Smilo Ren, aka Kamir. They're trying to bring back that like bad boy archetype in Star Wars to get teenage girls to watch it, because that's the phantom audience that they've been chasing after at the expense of their white male audience that they have lost. But anyway, this continues saying, when Kamir is first unmasked in the midst of a brutal Jedi killing spree, the camera movements and moody lighting appear engineered to maximize Manny Jacinto's heartthrobiness.
Again, I want to point out that there is no mood lighting, because the lighting on this show is ridiculously flat and dark and boring. That you're just lying now.
His exposed arms are as taut and defined as a Ferrari. His glistening cheekbones bisected by a pair of swooping bangs.
He does
appear
have
even sharper and more menacing than the lightsabers he's gripping.
He does have a defined face. He does have like a defined jawline, and he looks like he's had buckle fat, but I'm guessing that's just how his face is. So he does have that.
If he were hot, you wouldn't need to sell me the idea that he's hot.
I mean, it's the same thing with it's like what I would say. What's the joke? It's like, what's porn? You know it when you see it. Like, or if you have to
what's chemistry?
If you have to keep telling everyone you're the boss, you're probably not the boss. If you have to keep telling people that you've got chemistry, you probably don't have chemistry.
And an episode later, the show doubled down on Kamir's sex appeal, having him and his abs bathe buck naked in a hot spring while flirting brazenly with Osha, one of the twin protagonists.
That's not what that was.
I wouldn't have called that brazen flirting. I just thought it was weird.
Yes.
There was not even a spark.
What weird wine aunt wrote this that has never been flirted with in her entire life?
They used an example of the dialogue where Osha picks up his lightsaber and he said, "How does it feel to hold one again?" Is that supposed to be like an innuendo of some kind? Because I definitely didn't pick up on that when I watched it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, okay. And then the internet, as you might expect, had suffered a complete knee-quivering meltdown after Kamir was introduced to the show.
Again, the knee quiveringness of Acolyte fan 24242 on Twitter is not the internet.
I did actually see many fan cams and thirst traps of Manny's characters.
Bots, fake news.
Thank you. We'll just say it was bots, if that makes us feel more comfortable with the situation.
Again, the point here is that if you want to remember something, these are the same people that tell you sexual objectification is a bad thing.
Here, open the link that I just sent you to the audio description of that scene that they just referenced.
Why is sexual objectification okay when they do it?
Because it's a man. Look, if there were a female character in Star Wars that said she was told to put baby oil on for a scene, the world would melt down completely.
To untie a belted knot from around his waist, she straightens up for a better look. He begins to undress, revealing...
I don't want to get us copyright. I don't feel like dealing with a copyright on this. It's going to get us copyrighted.
Are you sure?
Yes. This is not worthy of a copyright of dealing with cutting this out.
Okay.
So what did they say?
Well, I don't know.
She says
I don't remember, but
I'm not doing this. They don't deserve this.
Yeah, they don't really deserve our time anyway. But yeah, one of the tweets in response to the scene said, "Manny Jacinto is about to lead me places I wouldn't even go with a gun." Another one said, "I just started chewing on cement."
Okay.
We were just talking about the way that women post thirst comments and like simping comments. It's definitely a different genre.
Why is it that when men do it, it's bad, and when women do it, it's okay?
Look, if they had a scene where Amanda Stenberg was expected to, do like a nude bathing scene in a hot spring and cover herself in baby oil, it would not go over well with the fans. They would be extremely offended. It wouldn't
go over with her. It wouldn't go over well with her.
She wouldn't have accepted it because she is a strong, independent woman.
Who doesn't need to sexualize herself.
Who doesn't need to objectify herself.
Unless she's on the red carpet going to an event.
Of course.
Then you can do it yourself.
But because it's a male, I guess, love interest, it's something that people are willing to accept. And this is what they say is bringing sexy back to Star Wars. Look, even just his character is not, like, his personality is not discernible enough to be attractive.
Yeah.
Han Solo was actually full of machismo and confidence and I don't know, what would be the word for it?
I mean, the point is that they're not trying. That it happens through the writing without even trying to do it.
Exactly. Yes, it doesn't feel put on and fake and phony. Yeah. This is what it seemed like. I knew that they were trying to go for this. But here's what Leslie Headland, the writer and showrunner, had to say about the sex appeal in The Acolyte. She said, Camille flips classic gender tropes of hypersexualization, but a true sex symbol is someone who resonates emotionally with fans. Manny Jacinto's magnetism is rooted in his acting, not just his physique. His ability to access vulnerability, empathy, and longing is very compelling.
There was zero of any of that in this show.
Yeah, and furthermore, she said
he was just a generically good. He was just a generically good villain. Like I'm not saying that the show was good. I'm saying that he, at certain portions, put on a generically good performance as a generically okay villain. There was none of all of those descriptive words you just used.
It was more, I don't know. It was better than the rest of the show, I guess.
Yes.
Which isn't saying much.
Correct.
I said at the end of the show that it felt like I just watched a fan project or like a fanfic that was developed into a Star Wars show. And that's exactly what it was, because now that Leslie Headland has spoken out, she started the shipping. Yeah. She's a shipper. First off, we got a 20 from Nate. The words for Han Solo are scruffy looking nerf herder.
Look, you just there is this is the point of charisma, right? You can't fake charisma. Harrison Ford has charisma, a unique screen presence. It's one of those things I pointed out. And if we want to go back to the other trope of the females and sex appeal, even in later years, right? When we were watching The Eternals, which was an objectively awful movie, honestly, boring in kind of the exact same way that this was. Every scene that Angelina Jolie she put on a clinic as to why her ability to just stand there and look more engaging and visually appealing than everyone else stood out above and beyond all, even women who are objectively younger. And one would, like, Gemma Chan is a younger, beautiful woman. Fine, sure. She doesn't have the screen presence or the charisma that Angelina Jolie does. Right? And none of them have that.
They're not going to write a male love interest who is actually masculine now anyway. So Leslie Headland says that it's so clear what the appeal of Oshamir is. This is their ship name, Oshamir. Osha and Kamir have an appealing love story because it's egalitarian. That's basically what Leslie Headland is saying. She discusses their enemies to lovers dynamic in The Acolyte. She emphasizes her personal experiences in the fandom because she is, after all, a fanfic writer. But essentially what she said is it's appealing to the fans because they made it a love story where they're both equals so that there's no coercion. That's what she said.
That's not how normal people
here's the exact quote though. So we referenced Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to influence in the writer's room. The parallel is that they are both equals and their relationship is earned through mutual vulnerability, not intimidation or manipulation.
People don't watch fantasy or science fiction or really like stories in general for real world descriptors of what they want to see. They go to see something outside their world of experience. Something
Leslie
that pushes
Headland
them.
Also admitted, nobody wants to ship these characters more than I do. I love them so much. There's always a character that's an avatar for me that I really love. Okay, she's doing the self-insert, probably is writing herself into the character of Osha because she is not really a lesbian, but that's another conversation. I can't buy that anyone really liked this, but unfortunately, women are so hopped up on birth control these days that they don't even care. They found this appealing.
Again, I like you said.
It changes their preference in men, so they like effeminate guys, I guess.
To the point of predictive programming earlier, I think it's more about kind of trying to make this what it is. Similar to what said about Tom Cruise, okay?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, what'd he say?
Well, Manny Jacinto also mentioned being cut out of Top Gun Maverick in this same interview with GQ. And my theory was that it was because he wasn't masculine enough to be part of the cast.
Well, he's in it, but he just doesn't have speaking lines.
In this headline, they're still astroturfing him, by the way. Tom Cruise shaded by hunky actor Manny Jacinto. Hunky actor. Once again, if he were actually hot, you wouldn't need to sell me the idea that he is hot. All of his lines were cut from Top Gun Maverick, but he wasn't shocked because, quote, Tom Cruise is writing stories for Tom Cruise.
Well, it's his movie and he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. But the point being that sometimes you just get cut because there isn't time to fill. There's a lot of reasons things get removed from movies, and not all of them have to do with harming you.
He continued, it's flattering that there was a little bit of outcry about me being cut, but it wasn't shocking to me. There's this sense of where the film was going on set. I can see them focusing the camera more on the other guys and not taking so much time on our scenes. Despite going through months of flight training for the role, Manny Jacinto only appears in the background of a few scenes and his lines were completely scrapped. But he isn't bitter about the experience. He used it as fuel. At the end of the day, Tom Cruise is writing stories for Tom Cruise.
Okay, so he's not even necessarily saying that in a negative fashion.
He is. He's making it a thing about Asian discrimination. Because furthermore, he said, it's up to us as Asian Americans, people of color, to be that for ourselves. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. If we want bigger stories out there, we have to make them for ourselves. So essentially, he was implying that Tom Cruise is writing stories for white males.
Okay.
And that's why he was involved in Top Gun Maverick. So,
but
that's not a good look.
Ignoring the fact that he was in the movie and he got to like actually do it and be there.
Just like, be grateful for what you got to do in the movie anyway.
Gratitude is a superpower. I say it all the time.
But anyway, back to the shipping and...
We got a $20 there.
Player PJ said Han Solo's sex appeal is being a smuggler, scoundrel, and outstanding pilot that made the Kessel Run in less than 12
But also, a bad boy is not the same thing as a villain. Bad boys and villains are not the same thing. Yeah. They seem to have a hard time distinguishing between the two.
I mean, to say that there was no manipulation in his Kamir's interactions with Osha and May is insane. Like, I just watched the whole season. It's fresh in my mind. I definitely recall that he was manipulating both of them. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I don't know what Leslie Headland is talking about when it comes to, like, it works because they're equals and they're both vulnerable. Whatever.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.